is it?
I do. Okay. Me.
Okay.
And Marshall.
I don't know.
Okay. We didn't meet.
Did you say he's coming on? You know where he's coming from?
No.
Okay.
No, I saw something one day from Cape kind of abducted and kind of something else. Didn't see anything for St. James.
Sure, this week. Channel 4, 6.
That might have been two different.
No, it is. No, not somewhere. There's someone's truck they went to the corner.
Red Ford.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's interesting. All these are in the portions of it that I didn't check. They're typos from the prior iteration. Everything. Well, I didn't make it. Actually, I think you can get information system.
See it. It's just but there was one piece in there. It says, I get to see it. We didn't change.
That's what I'm saying
It
about.
says, count vacation pay when you calculate it. If you don't, no, you're not supposed to. If you read the whole thing, it says, if you take a vacation day, then you work overtime. You don't have to pay overtime. But I think it's a typo, because it says, if you read the whole thing, it says you don't. There's something that says do.
Okay, your minutes up.
Let's go.
All right, we won't wait for Tom any longer. We'll go ahead and open the work session, and as you can see, we've got 3 things on there to discuss, but we would certainly want to talk about the TIF agreement first, and however far we get, that's how far we get. The rest of those other items can actually, if this takes the whole time to talk about it, we'll just put those off and maybe have another work session after the meeting, or have another special work session, or whatever.
Just have one for the next meeting,
Okay.
aren't that time sensitive.
All right. So, anyway, we have, obviously, everybody's here again. Go
Kind
ahead.
of introduce the, at our last meeting, we had a lot of discussion, and I felt that we were directed by the board to draft a new agreement that was independent of anything that preceded it. So whatever the old agreement was, we were to come up with a form of an agreement that kind of starts from today, or that day, and could be considered by you for approval on the use of TIF funds for the nursing home. So I worked with Frank's office, and Frank recommended that we follow the format that we had used for the Eric Scott proposal, because it's already been vetted. Bond counsel and other councils had looked at it. People signed off, kind of in an opinion that these are eligible uses of TIF, of the Valley Springs TIF funds, and so we started going down that road. So I met with the nursing home contractor and Jeanette, and explained to them kind of what we were looking for, and that is, we're looking for elements of work that could be subject to reimbursement upon completion. And so they produced a list, and I went ahead and scheduled that for consideration on our regular agenda. But since then, a lot of folks have called me, council members, Board of Aldermen members, saying, we really need some more time to discuss this than just at the regular session. So we opted to go ahead and put it on the work session. But what we're talking about is the agreement and the attachment that's in your regular packet, that reimbursement agreement. And clearly, if the figure is $37,500, which is kind of the original figure that we've been dealing with here, there is more than sufficient work yet to be complete on that project that would be eligible, as bond counsel and the city attorney see it, for reimbursement. And that's what we've presented to you here, is an agreement that would reimburse the developer for work items. And that's the introduction.
Okay. I'm just going to go back because a few of you have approached me with questions, and I guess maybe there's questions that either have come to mind yourselves since the last meeting or from people that have brought it up to you. And I'm just going to throw it out there and throw out the information that I know and the questions that you guys have kind of brought to me. One of the things that was talked about at the last meeting was the rent or lack of rent issue that was discussed as far as the hospital charging the nursing home. And as I kind of asked Mr. Keim at the last meeting was, what kind of rent is being charged, and he said, I think it was $1,900 basically, and that was pretty much an incentive to try to, make this whole project work, be able to make it work for the current developer to be able to build the nursing home. One thing that I didn't go through, which was brought up last meeting, was, well, if the hospital was making that $1,900, which was, it's $20,000 a year or a little over, then what about the savings in the last 2 years that the developer has realized because of the delay in building the nursing home? That rent that has actually either a mortgage payment on the current nursing home that wasn't have to be paid, or any kind of rent or lease payment on the current nursing home, that was money saved on this project to be able to go towards building the new building, and he had actually 2 years more of saving that money. I don't know what's happened to building costs in the last couple of years versus what they were 2 years ago when it should have been finished, or what the existing agreement was to be finished. That was one thing that was brought up to me, and I'm just throwing out these facts or throwing out these things or these questions to you. The other thing that we didn't talk about was that in my mind's not all that great by far, but in the initial discussions about the initial agreement years ago, was that the fact that if this was done in 2000, if this nursing home was finished in 2013, that there would be 2 years left, 13, or 14 and 15, worth of taxes that would have gone back into the TIF, that would have been generated from the construction of the nursing home. And that would have been actually TIF revenue, since it's built in the TIF area. So that would have been, and we figured out, the staff figured out, based on the assessor's valuation on the square footage of that particular building, that building would be worth a little over $5 million, and it's assessed at 19% since it's residential. And if you took all of that and multiplied it out as far as what the TIF revenue, the TIF taxes would have been on that, it would have been a little over $44,000 a year that would have went back into the TIF fund for those 2 years, that we had, and it came up in the discussion that there would have been, part of the money that the city was committing to, the $337,000, $88,000 of it in essence would have been paid back into the TIF if the thing would have been completed on time. Just another thing. But on the other side of that, once the TIF is even over, the city will realize, based on that assessment, will realize about $7,400 in taxes a year off of that building that's not there now, and that will obviously go on forever. So if you also look at that, I did ask Sue to check. They'd be in the top 5 as far as a property taxpayer in the city of St. Genevieve, as far as property taxes go. So the $8 million investment, we're told is an $8 million investment, a $5 million assessment by the assessor's office will continue to generate $7,400 in taxes towards the city going forward. With all of that said, and those were the questions that have been brought to me in the last couple weeks since then, you got a proposal in front of you now that really none of that should make any difference. If you strictly look at what we're looking at today, you got a new agreement. That one is gone. It expired, and we're looking at a new one based on a new set of rules, or a new set of allocations and wants as far as that goes. So basing it on the old agreement, or having discussions on the old agreement, we got a new one in front of us. So
Mr. Mayor, memory is a tough thing. It seems like every day mine loses a little bit more mileage. But I know there's some people sitting at this table that were here during those initial discussions on whether to commit TIF funds to this project. So you just came up with the number, I apologize for being late, that $88,000 to $44,000 a year. Was that part of the initial discussion? Was anybody even looking at that at that time?
I don't know if we knew what the exact number was, but there was discussion about, well, if this is built, there is 2 years worth of funds that's going to be put back into the TIF. I mean, and we wouldn't even be having this discussion today probably if the TIF was only 5 or 10 years old, because this project would more than pay back. It would generate money to go into the TIF over the years.
So when you put those numbers together, did we look at, how do you quantify taxes paid through sales tax, through employees? How do you quantify out all the rest of the financial impact? That's a tiny little snapshot of the financial impact. I don't think I don't like the word fair. I think that to take a broader vision, there's a lot of different financial impact numbers that would come into play to try to understand that. I don't really know how you ever capture those numbers. I hear them, it's like tourism numbers. I don't know how, that's just a blind guess. But I think there's a bigger financial impact to look at than just that $88,000.
I certainly don't disagree with that.
Well, yes and no. I mean, those employees are already here, and those monies are already coming in. It's
Well,
just,
you got-
we're looking
you got-
at it from being a private to or from a public to a private
But
thing.
you got all the construction, the guys are working out there, you got sales tax.
Oh, yeah,
Every time they go to Casey's in the morning and get a donut. I mean, if you try to understand the financial impact of the project, you got to have a very broad view.
Right.
And because there's just a whole lot of things going on. I'm never comfortable when I see these numbers, because they're hard to quantify, you know what I mean? They're hard to nail down. But, I mean, you know, John, were you here and Buck? I know you were.
Yeah.
You
was that-
the three of you were on that.
Yeah.
board.
Was there, I don't recall any discussion of.
We never
of
had
that.
no discussion at all, because I'm gonna be honest with you, we've never talked about plan A, B, and C.
Right.
Meaning A, giving the tip money. Another thing is the valley, or over there, the streets over there could be used for it, or at the end, it all goes back to the entities that gave it up, correct? A, B, and C, correct? We've never talked about B, plan B, or plan C.
But we approved, in your terms, A. Me and you and Buck were sitting right here at this table when we approved that.
But that's expired.
And that expired, and
Listen,
now,
I understand, and we'll go back to the same conversation. The company I work for has a significant project that is 5 times the dollar amount of this project. And we just found out we're going to have a 9-month delay out of nowhere. And I mean, we've had engineers, we've had a lot of big money thrown at trying to understand the project and its costs and its timeline. And out of nowhere, we get this 9-month delay. This is a common thing. They didn't walk away.
I
They didn't
understand,
leave
sir,
town.
but you're communicating with somebody on a 9-month delay, right?
No.
Not
we were-
nobody, well, you're talking to
Well,
somebody
I
explaining.
think that Mr. Kine felt like he was communicating with Mr. Toma.
No, Mr. Thomas said he asked and
Well,
wasn't
we
getting
sat
nowhere.
here, we
so
sat
I
here a
don't
week
know.
ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and kind of heard that discussion back and forth. I don't think they turned their back and left town. And as far as all getting done on time, we got a local contractor that's well-respected. I personally trust if they say they're going to have this stuff done by a certain time, I totally believe that. I'm not worried about them not getting done in that time frame.
The original contract, who picked the dates of maturity for that to end, saying, we can have this done?
I think you're hung up on.
Well, no, I want to set a timeline here. Who came up with the dates? Did the city say you have 1 year for this, or did the hospital and the developer say we can do this in the next year?
Within the next, it was 3 years at the time, wasn't it? 2 years, 2 or 3 years.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so they brought the date to us in the contract, it was signed, we committed those funds, it expired, they asked for an extension, we gave it to them, they still didn't meet that. On dates that they gave us, they didn't, I mean, we didn't set the date or the timeline for them.
Joe, we've
But hold
covered all this
on now,
ground.
I know, well, apparently it needs to be revisited. They didn't meet the commitments. We committed, we held up our end of the bargain.
We were waiting to
We
hold
still
up our
have
end of
those
the
funds committed right now. I mean, technically. But the thing is they didn't follow through on their commitment, and so we don't have an obligation.
So do you
Now,
feel...
hold on a minute, Tom.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry, Joe. Please go
Now,
on.
the thing is, I mean, I do projects all the time, some not quite to this scale. Before I start that project, I look at it and say, okay, what's it gonna cost us in the right away? What's it gonna cost us?
You've
Well,
done these
hold on a minute.
projects, you know there's no answer to that.
There's a guesstimate, just like these are guesstimates. You know, some of these numbers that they have in that thing,
There's a nuclear power plant in South Carolina that got, this construction started in 1979, it's just about to
there's
go
all
online.
kinds of projects like that. But what I'm saying is when you take on a project, you look at what it is gonna cost to build right now, or is it worth waiting and realizing the savings that we have and maybe delay it for a little bit and make some money that way?
How much construction-
Is it cheaper to stay where we're at for a short time to help generate some revenue? When we have to look at all that, Tom.
How much was diesel fuel How much was concrete? How much was lumber?
Well-
Nothing got cheaper during this
Diesel
I
did,
understand.
diesel
Well, it
did.
did in the last 6 months. But
got
nothing,
a lot
but in
cheaper.
the last 6 months.
But
Nothing
that's-
gets cheaper. There's no reason, I just can't
It's a
see a
calculated
reason.
risk that you take when you take on a project.
Well, yeah, but.
You know, I've
You're-
had people come to me and say that they've had talk with people up at the nursing home, saying, asking that they wanted this done and this done, and they say, well, we're gonna be moving to a new building, we don't wanna do that. And that's,
I'm sure
I
that's-
totally understand
yeah.
that. However, it was also brought up, well, you need to start doing something, get on the ball quick, because you're gonna lose the TIF funds. And the comment,
Where'd that come from?
it came from very reliable sources.
Where'd that, you can't do that. You gotta say, where'd it come from?
It was a conversation between my sister-in-law and Mr. Shafiq.
And how'd that go?
His comment to her was, he was not worried about the TIF funds.
I don't know why it would have been. What we're deciding right now, let's break this
But
down. Let's break
the
this.
thing is we gotta look out for public best interest, correct? Okay. We honored the commitment as it was brought to us. We did it twice. We extended it a second time and honored it. They didn't meet theirs, for whatever reason. I don't care what the reason is. They did not honor theirs. So we have to look at the public benefit of all this. Our needs have changed in the last 5 years that this has been going on. We just spent a ton of money on a building to bring a new business in here, which changed our priorities on other stuff. We don't have that money to use for these other projects. So with
Well, we
doing
still
that
could have.
project, we have those other priorities too. That we owe it to the people of you guys' ward to get point base. We've been denying that for so long. And I got so many phone calls from their ward that they want their street done. And they didn't honor their commitment to the thing, so they should move to the bottom of the pecking order, and we need to get our other priorities taken care of first.
So you're using your critical thinking skills and thinking about this carefully and thoughtfully. It's boiling down to, we can punish them because of that.
It's not a punishment. We're not punishing them. They didn't honor their commitment. We honored our part. They took that
Well,
risk.
the three of us made a commitment, and I'm willing to stand behind it.
Well, my only question, not to interrupt you, Joe, is, and I'm not saying to not give them the money, but who needs the money more? That's how I'm looking at it, okay? When you got street problems and there are other areas that could be used, I'm not saying take it all away from them, but I'm just saying maybe we need to step back and reevaluate that.
But how do you get to the point where you can say who needs it more? We made a commitment. Now, it didn't go smoothly. I get that, I admit that.
We all
obvious,
get that.
right?
Yeah.
But now, oh wow, they didn't keep their commitment, we don't need to give them that money. Maybe we'll give them a little of it, maybe not. We're gonna do some other things. This board made a commitment. I understand that their timeline didn't work. I totally get how it wouldn't.
I understand,
Right?
too.
But I just think us walking away from that. Could we use $337,000 in a lot of ways in St. Jude? Hell yes. A lot of ways. Right?
Yeah.
Now, later tonight, we're going to talk about police cars.
Right.
Right? No police cars because we're going to fix potholes. I'm not saying I wouldn't be for that. Right? I might
Okay.
be willing to go with that. We don't have a commitment to that. We never had a previous commitment to that. It's something new that just popped up, so we get to talk about it.
They agreed on a plan to replace police cars, and they...
But we've never followed that plan, Joe.
Well, you're saying we never had a commitment.
No, I'm saying we didn't have a
that was-
commitment on that particular, what we're gonna look at, we never had this commitment. Eric brought this to us out of the blue
Get back to
a few weeks ago. Well, the point is, we can decide how to spend this money any way that we think is the appropriate way. And that's what it boils down to. I know the term nursing home is an antiquated term. Is it assisted living facility? What's the proper term? Skilled nursing.
Okay.
Well, let your conscience be your guide as we continue to go through this. And please take the long view and weigh out the pros and cons of this project, weigh out the reputation of this board of upholding commitments. Weigh out the reputation of this board upholding commitments, understanding there were snags.
I don't think that's a fair thing to say.
I think it's completely fair.
No, I don't.
There are guys
Have you
at this
talked to the
table,
other members
there are
that
people
were
at
here?
this table that want to say we don't do nothing to bring business in.
No, you're going
And this is going to be a billboard.
You're going
You're
off
speaking
line.
for
So you're,
yourself
so
and
what you're
Dorothy,
saying
but
then,
what
if we
about the
don't
other
approve
members?
this, it's not gonna
I've
go
talked to some of
forward?
the other board members that were
So
on
did
that
I.
board, and they feel, do what you gotta do. They
Well,
didn't say,
I
hey,
feel the
we made a
same way, Donnie.
commitment.
Do what you got to do.
Do what you gotta
Be
do.
prepared to answer the questions and be prepared to stand by your decision. Every time we make a decision, that's what we have to do.
Right. But you can't speak for the whole board because there's only 3 of them
I
here.
never tried to. I spoke for the 3 that were here. And I really can't remember everything we talked about it. But I know that it was like, here it is, this is a great idea. Hell yeah. We want to see this facility get built. We want to have better care for the people that are in it now, the people that are going to be in the future, the ones of us that maybe end up in it in the future. We want to do the right thing. We got an $8 million investment coming to town. They missed their timeline, so we're going to pull the rug out from underneath their feet on the commitment the city made. So that's all I have to say about it. I'm ready to vote on it. I think everybody else is ready to vote on it.
Well, we do have a nursing home being built at this time, is that correct? Okay. We've got local contractors involved with this, and we did commit funds at that time. The people that were on the board at that time committed those funds. And it's something that needs to be considered.
And at the same time now, the original 2 agreement said that an occupancy permit had to be issued. And now they're wanting to change the definition of that or the rules that apply to that, which tells me that they're not going to even
The
have...
new agreement doesn't relate to occupancy.
The new one doesn't.
No.
But
It just
the
relates
original
to
ones do.
Completed work prior to the...
So they're even changing the rules of the original agreement to fit, because they don't think they can make it even
Well,
by
I
December
think they would have
20th.
been satisfied with it the way it was proposed before, but on the advice of council, we restructured it to be a reimbursement agreement that was the same format as we had with Eric Scott, because we knew that had withstood the test of bond counsel and other legal considerations. So it wasn't anything that the developer asked for, it was the format we chose because we were confident that it would withstand scrutiny.
Can I ask the developer a question? Was part of this delay because you originally was going to build a 200-bed nursing home and then decided 120? Was that part of the delay?
No, sir. That was not, things were supposed to get done. It's all delayed from getting a certificate of need and getting all those things in place prior to getting a commitment of financing and everything else too. This all takes time, and that's how we got delayed. A few months here, a few months there, a few months there. That's how we got delayed.
And I might just, the state regulates how many beds can be placed in service. So the nursing home beds that were part of Riverview that are licensed with the state, he would not be able to build a nursing home with more beds. He would have to stick to the state license that was transferred.
And one more thing, can I say something to the agreement we made with the city? It took us 1 year to come up with the agreement with all the little delays and here, some study this, some study that too. It was done, I think, 10, 11 months. If you look at the same way, if everybody else does the same thing with the project, how much it gets delayed in every step of the line. Certificate of need, they want so many information. They want construction plan done. Architect needs 6 to 8 weeks to get those things done. And then here's the other things to do. So there's so many things that they have to do there too. I did not have no chance to come up with any faster than what I did. I mean, I've done Tom and I, we both have worked on a daily basis too, and to get this project going as fast as we could. Doing those things too. And there are some of the delays that happened, and we did not have no control over them. It was not our control that it got delayed. And we had done everything possible that we could make it do. And what Mr. Lally is saying that too, that I spoke to his sister-in-law too. She is a wonderful person. She talks to me all the time. I mean, all the process, she was talking to me, everything else too. And she was worried about what we're going to do. The TIF money goes away and everything else. Don't worry about TIF money. We will make the nursing home regardless. That's our commitment to make a nursing home. We will do those things too. I didn't think that what TIF money was Mrs. Valley's issue at that time too, because she was not part of the city. I didn't know that. It means what was going on. If any person called me and says, question me about TIF money or something else, I told her, no, don't worry about that one too. We will get this project done. And that's all it was said. It was not meant to that I don't care for TIF money. That's not true. We do care for the TIF money because that money was spent. It's spent in a project. It will make a hardship for us to complete the project if it's not done, because I have to come up with more money to put in the project. So, and it's already $8 million. And plus the $2 million that we have to pay for the previous nursing home. So it's a very expensive project for the city, and whatever city is asked for it too, and city is getting it with a few months delay, which is very normal, like Mr. Tom's, I forget your last name, so he's saying that, I mean, it's very normal, it's the business routine. How many projects city has done? We just never finish on time. How many projects anybody else has done? They've been on time. It's not easy to do. If the city wants to hold us for that one too, put a gun on our head to do this, it's not going to be fair.
I think you're probably a real good businessman. I don't know you, but I think you are. Okay, you know what you're doing. And just sitting here thinking about stuff, if you're renting a nursing home for $1,900, and that's what you're getting it for, why are you building another one? You know, you got a gravy deal going on right there. Absolute gravy. You've rented this for 3 years or 2.5 years for $1,900. Do you think that was part of the fact of you dragging your feet?
No, that's not true. And I already paid the price for the nursing home, plus I'm building the new nursing home. It's like I told you, $10 million will cost at the end $10 million altogether with this project. $8 million new construction cost plus $2 million which I'm going to pay to the hospital or county. So it's not that it was not being delayed for that reason.
And if I could just add to that as well, it's the spirit of the agreement when we were putting this all together, and like I mentioned to you at the last council meeting, our work group, when we went out to look for who could bring to this community a new nursing home, the hospital stood beside the incentives, and it was all part of one package. The rent was part of what he could realize in savings that could go into the nursing home, the amount of the discounted price of the nursing home, because he was not going to get the building. So we discounted all that to ensure that the community would get a new nursing home, that the county would get the building back, so the building itself becomes county property again. They do plan to take down some buildings to improve parking downtown. It does come on the tax rolls, and the rent that was incentivized was over a 5-year period, and he could have taken the easy way out because his rent after year 5 would go to about $8,000. So if he wanted to take the easy way out and not move forward with the nursing home, he would have had to reimburse us the tip money that the hospital has already fronted and has carried that note for the last 5 years, that we fronted all the money for the purchase of the land and the city costs that went into the development of the TIF. He could have paid us that $265,000 for the land and paid $8,000 a month and still had the nursing home. It would have still not come on the tax rolls. There would still be a facility in disrepair, and there would still not be something that benefits all of us long term. And the spirit of that whole agreement and all the incentives that were put into it, including the TIF, we went to the school board or to the superintendent at the time and asked them, is this a project that you can get behind so that we could load that in, those TIF incentives into this project, to knowing that he's got on the hook for a lot of money. And even Jeff Lindsay, in the last 2 weeks I went back to Jeff and I said, is this something that you can support? Because you're a TIF, I mean, you're the biggest part of the TIF. And he told me there's no better use that he could see for the funds to bring something like this to our community. So I'm only here representing the spirit of the last 5 years of knowing what he was on the line for, knowing what we put in to give him the incentive, and recognizing in this community, this is a tremendous benefit. And like I said last time, it's not going to hurt us. We don't want to obviously spend the attorney fees that, potentially could go, but Shafiq is a man of his word. We've known that. The hospital purposely had other incentive or punitive things that we could have done, but I think we acted as if, like a council would act, if they had a developer that was going to invest in this community, you would work with them, and you would not want to punish them if you knew they were taking the steps to move this thing forward. Just like the city and the county and the state provides incentives to get people to come in and build things, in a way the hospital was acting that way on behalf of the city. And this is something that is in a prime area with the community center, with the new apartments, and with the new nursing home. I would think the city would want to say, we had and played a very important part in making this happen, because that's how TIF funds are used. They are, will this project move forward with TIF? And that's how it all happened. It wasn't any deceit. It wasn't money or the hospital made money. It was all part of the original plan we brought before the council, the county commissioners, all the people that would be impacted, including the school district, to say, this is the plan we are trying to put together. Will you stand behind it? Will you support it so that we can go through it? And if you want to punish him for missing a deadline, that's exactly what you're doing. And I think from what we have tried to do this entire time is to get a new nursing home and make something that's better for this community. And it's going up. It's going to happen. And we think you should stand behind it and celebrate it instead of punish it. And I thank you for the time.
I don't think there's any question about a need, personally. I've been up there quite a bit, recently. And you never ever felt like the TIF funds were in jeopardy, did you?
Never once.
Not until, what, the last month or so, or 6 weeks, I don't know when it all started. But I thought it was going to go forward. We talked about it a couple times, previously to the last work session.
Any other discussion? Anybody? Okay, it's on the agenda, so we'll, if you read that, we were just talking about, there is the dollar amount in the new agreement is blank. So whenever we have that discussion in a regular meeting about what number it needs to be based on the new set of expenses, I mean...
Was that the direction of the board after our last meeting, is to leave the dollar amount blank, or was it to write a new agreement to honor the dollar amount from the previous agreement?
Well, but the previous agreement was based on numbers.
I mean, the direction of the board at the meeting, was it to leave the dollar amount blank? Where'd that come from?
That came from...
That's a reflection of the discussion that occurred at the time. I don't know that we got specific direction.
We had talked about giving it all, giving some of it,
Okay.
that was part of our discussion that day, or that evening.
So we'll have to come up with that number when that comes up in the meeting. We've got a little bit of time if we want to.
Let's go ahead and talk about the police vehicles. Personnel manual can wait until our next meeting. Eric?
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you guys?
Hi, Chief.
We're right in here. Yeah.
Now, to refresh your memory, there was an item on the agenda that was tabled because there were lots of questions about it.
Okay.
And we've done some research on what you do after an item's been tabled. And so out of this, if you kind of decide on a direction that you want to go, it will not be considered tonight. It would be taken off the table and put on our next meeting's agenda.
Actually, just a little refresher on Robert's Rules of Order. The table, when you table a motion, you're supposed to be dealing with a sort of an emergency, like somebody's got to catch an airplane or something. And it's not to be used to stop a debate. But there is a motion not delay it, postpone to a date certain. And that will, or you could say, I make a motion to refer this to a committee. The phrase tabling, we use it all the time, but the concept is, let's take it off the discussion and put it back on at an appropriate time. But technically what you should do is say, I want to postpone to the next meeting, or I want to postpone it until the spring, I want to postpone it to whatever time you want. That's a more appropriate way to stop a discussion. But the actual motion made was to table, and we're going to treat that as a postponement to a date certain. And Martin's going to ask you, when do you want to actually have this come back up? We'll straighten that motion up, whether it's next meeting or whenever you want to do it. I'm sorry, that's your lesson on Robert's Rules of Order.
I thought we agreed on that though at the last meeting.
Agreed on what?
I thought you said that me and Martin and Mr. Rizika and Eric was supposed to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
We never had a meeting. Nobody's ever called me. My phone's on day and night.
I'm sorry, I don't recall that.
I don't either.
I think that was maybe when you and I were walking out and talked about
okay, whatever.
Because I'm going to value your opinion on, I don't know about cars.
Yeah.
Hey, Chief, may I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
As you all know, I'm not that bright of a person, okay? Why would we need a 2005 250 Super Duty four-wheel drive 3/4 ton truck?
For the water department.
Okay.
I don't have any input on that.
Oh, I got the wrong thing. Never mind, Chief.
I certainly think that part about being right.
What'd I say about being dumb? Yeah. Sorry about that, buddy.
All right.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I usually do that, so I'm glad you're here, Rich.
Three-quarter ton trucks.
I'm gonna start reading this stuff before it comes to a meeting.
The diesel was the one ton, yeah, you're right.
We better get after it, Eric. The clock's ticking, Eric.
Okay. One thing, I guess, I was just coming back in response to the tabled motion, if you had any additional questions. One comment that was made earlier in this work session is that it came out of the blue at the last meeting.
It came out of the blue to me at the last meeting. I heard nothing about it till bam, there it is.
Well, I had reported in February and March in my staff report that I was looking to replace 3 vehicles and that we were looking for financing options for that.
My concern was we're not even in the budget season yet.
Well,
And I know that you didn't spend all your money this year, but that doesn't matter to me. We got to be looking, when we go to look at budgets for next year, because there's more at stake. There's more than just police cars. We need dump trucks, we need all kinds of stuff. So when we have that discussion on how to spend our money for capital, that's a bigger discussion, I think.
And my original proposal with the bank, which will be rectified before this comes up for a meeting, would be the first payment due this year, which my budget year would cover. Granted, that is.
Eric, you do a wonderful job managing your budget, but it just to me it seems like we're really jumping the gun on the conversation because it's a bigger conversation. And I may be alone in that thought process.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think one thing that I would like to address, and getting back to Alderman Prince's comment earlier about the car replacement program that we had in the past, This would have been the first year that we would have really realized the benefit of that. We would have been selling two 2010 cars that would have brought probably $12,000 to $15,000 apiece, which would pay for one of our two cars that we would be replacing. So if the board would come to the point where we would legitimately commit to these funds, we would be buying two cars a year and paying for one, which would be good for the city, I think.
You lost me real bad there. I wasn't paying enough attention.
We have 10 cars.
We're getting two paying for one?
Yes.
Because one
we have 10 cars.
Proceeds of the
We would be selling the two that are going out, which would pay for one of the cars that we would
Who's
replace.
going to guarantee that money?
I don't know that anybody can guarantee anything.
Nobody can guarantee you're going to get that much.
It may not be the exact amount, but there'll be.
As opposed to running the cars until the wheels fall off and we have to give them away to somebody. A car with 50,000 miles that is in good working order. I mean, you know, from going to the auctions that, I mean, that's why the Highway Patrol gets rid of their cars at 50,000 miles.
Sheriff's Department's pretty damn happy with it.
With what?
What they get on their return with 180,000 miles. They just did real good on a Tahoe.
Well, but I can't buy Tahoes.
I know, but I'm just saying that
if you buy an Impala, it's going to be worth what an Impala is worth when you sell it. When you buy a Tahoe, it's going to be worth a Tahoe.
Well, but it's a lot more, but I'm just saying, they run them a lot longer. Every municipality around us runs them longer. If it's so good a deal, why ain't Frontenac and Farmington, everybody doing it?
Farmington is on a replacement program, but they have significantly more cars than we do. You know, I think a comment that was made at the previous meeting that aggravated me, the implication that we didn't consult you with the Charger. You're the only person that we consulted. We asked about a new engine, asked about a replacement
But nobody
engine.
ever come back and asked all of a sudden.
We have to come back and ask.
No, all of a sudden, it gets fixed, but nobody come back and ask what you think's the best. I said from day one, put the new motor with warranty. It made the most sense.
Here's what I haven't understood since the last meeting. Eric saved $20,000 in his budget this year. I don't know if this was what he had in mind or not when he saved that, but how are we going to punish him for doing that? And I'm confident that if he can do that with this year's budget, he can work with his following year's budgets to make this work.
He's done that with
Historically, you've always been under budget.
I don't think I've turned in less than $30,000 in any of the time that I've been here. However, I mean, there will be times that
So, I mean,
we may
if
spend
you're
everything.
always turning back $30,000, you're putting in a bad budget number. I mean, it's all there is to it.
Well, but some of it
You're putting in
is
a bad. I appreciate.
staffing issues that, no,
we
we
were
go a year.
understaffed for a long time, right? And that's where that savings.
That's where some of that comes in.
came
Yeah,
from.
I'm not sure. I mean, you make your budget based on certain
Assumptions,
set of,
just
and
assumptions.
you try, you're never conservative because you don't know. So, you're not always in control of all those things, but likely is not, you're going to be able to come in under budget.
I think that my personal feelings, which shouldn't come into play, but if we came to this board and asked for guns because we said we need guns, I don't think the board would bat an eye. If we came and said we need bulletproof vests, I don't think the board would bat an eye. But every time we come and ask for cars, which is just as essential a piece of equipment as anything that we use, it's always a struggle, and it gets a little frustrating. And any service industry that relies on a vehicle fleet has to be replaced. It has to be maintained, which we are doing, and it has to be replaced. And so, again, just my personal feelings, it gets a little frustrating every time this topic comes up. It's such a bone of contention, but it is. So, I mean, I would be happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Once again, why you need that big truck?
Well, I have a camper, I have a fifth wheel that I would imagine would pull a lot better with that truck than my truck, but...
You're going to go to horse patrol and something to car.
Because it's a Ford.
Every meeting, when you come and give a report, almost every meeting, there's, this is wrong with this car and this is wrong with this car. So this should come as a surprise to no one.
Yeah.
That they need new cars. Really.
Well, I think, seriously, that the chief has done a good job. I will say that. I think he's done well with his staff, and I think if anyone knows that they need new cars, it's probably him. That's, he runs police department, he knows what's going on.
We have to trust our department heads.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't want to take that
Absolutely.
away from him, and start nitpicking everything. Well, do you need this? Do you need that? We do that enough
We're not
already.
here to micromanage.
And with that being said, I don't expect a blank check by any stretch. I mean, I certainly don't want to ask this board to fund something if there's no money to fund it.
Point them out.
Or, if it did truly come as a surprise, I apologize for that. I tried laying some groundwork with the staff reports, for a few months. And it's been in both of my budget proposals this year and last year and wasn't funded in the budget proposal. So it's not something that came up out of the blue or...
Well, when it hit us at the last meeting, it was out of the blue to me, hands down. I listened to your staff reports, and I pay attention. I know you have vehicle issues, but that doesn't tell me that you're going to come before budget season and say, I want to do this right now. Here it is, sign it.
3 cars.
That was quite a surprise to me, Eric. And I've always supported the police department getting vehicles. I get that. You got to have cars. I get all the other things around it. We need to have good, newer models to entice new hires to come and work with us. I mean, I truly get the picture.
Well, and again, I certainly apologize, and I typically go around and talk to the members before something like that comes up. But we're different this year, and looking back at my staff reports, I stated specifically I have 3 cars that I need to replace, and I'm looking for funding options to bring to the table.
For me, I think there's a bigger picture, and it's all the departments. And when we look at entering into new leases or actually spending capital, I think we got to look at all those things and then kind of sort down to where we are. And emergency services always takes precedence to me over everything else. But I think we also got to look at some of the other things. It's okay, this is what we're going to spend, how we're going to spend it, and make sure that it's more than 20 minutes in the back half of a work session. And I know that I think we won't discuss this in an open session, and I know you don't want to, and I agree with you 100% of how many officers are on duty and their times and all those kind of things, because that needs to be held private for security issues. But I think some more discussion on that and give us a broader aspect of how you have to run your department, because you're tied down to budget constraints.
Right.
That would maybe help people be more comfortable that, okay, I get that. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and I would certainly be more comfortable with a non-televised work.
Well, I think it's probably, I don't know how we do that.
Tom, just what you're saying there, I think part of maybe his issues, or some of his issues, certainly his perception that you've got 2 or 3 people on duty, and there's 6 or 7 cars sitting out here. Why do you need more than, if you got 2 or 3 people on duty?
Right.
A lot of people think, why do you need more than 2 or 3 cars?
Right. And that's certainly come up before, and again, I mean, anytime you hot seat a car and run it 24/7, then
it's going to be a faster turnover on those vehicles.
So
it's a cause that is long, I think.
I mean, one of the probably lesser important for this board reasons is just the morale of the guys, like you mentioned earlier, just attracting newer officers and the little bone that we can throw to the officers that are staying and that we are able to retain is decent equipment, that they know when they get in the start of their shift, their car's going to start and it's going to run until they go home that night.
No guarantee on that with a new one?
No, there's not. I mean, again, I can't give you
I'm not
guarantees
arguing, but
on
I'm just
anything.
saying, as many new ones break down as used.
I've heard, to answer that again specifically, just the accountability of, if the car is damaged, we know who damaged it. We know whose car it is.
Absolutely.
They have some skin in the game. They have some responsibility in taking care of their car, and they can set it up the way they want, and they know where their things are at when they need to go get them quickly. So it's not necessarily uncommon for assigned patrol vehicles in law enforcement. There are agencies that hot seat cars, and I could guarantee that their replacement plan is a lot more strict and enforced than ours is.
There's been some concern and questions that have been asked that why do the officers take the automobiles home at night, the police cars? I don't have that concern. I'm glad they do. I like to see them parked in neighborhoods. I think that's a great idea to have them there.
As do I, and additionally, they're all subject to call.
Right.
especially the ones that live in town. And to clarify, that benefit is only extended to people that live in town.
If I call 911, I want everybody coming.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
And everybody in the room, and everybody wants that.
Yeah. And again, that's the biggest benefit for us, is just, the people that live on Lynn Drive, how happy they are that there's one that sits there.
Yeah, I think it's a great deal. I think it's great.
So, again, I certainly appreciate your concerns, and I appreciate your consideration of this. I hope that I've demonstrated to you guys that I'm not.
Yeah, one more question.
Yes.
Without giving up on your plan, but let's assume we're not going to do it.
Let's just assume that we are.
What are the options if we don't?
The options are limitless for you guys. You can fund one, you can fund two.
And timing-wise.
We can put a Band-Aid on the problem that'll get us through to the budget cycle. That's my question.
What do you mean by putting a Band-Aid on?
One vehicle.
Okay. Does that work?
It would work. Like everything else, the majority of our maintenance and repair costs have gone to these three vehicles. Every time we take the one in, it's $700, $1,000. Yes, I could get by with one. I think that I'm asking for three because we need three, and I can justify it in my budget, and I can pay for it in my budget. And it's the equipment that we need.
Yeah, the problem for Tom is we can see that budget, but what about the one 3 years from now?
And again, long term, the budget benefits will be we can fund the straight $30,000, not lease anything, buy one car outright, and hopefully buy a car with the two vehicles that we sell, and just be budgeting for one vehicle, and it's going to be a win-win for the city and the department. But we have to dedicate to the replacement plan, and again, we've strayed from that. I wouldn't be asking for three cars if we had funded the two cars in the last 2 years.
Eric, we have this conversation every year.
Yes.
And it's a tough one, right? If we had lots of money, it'd be no big deal.
Right. But we
how about the concept of having an approved and agreed upon preventive maintenance program for your vehicles that you manage, and when something comes up unexpectedly, right, which happens with vehicles, everybody understands that. You've been doing your maintenance. This is our maintenance program, and this is our replacement program, because I think we've talked about replacement cycles, but I know that the maintenance side of it, I don't know that everybody's aware of and agreed upon, and if you get those people to agree on that, maybe it would make it a cleaner process for you. You see where I'm headed?
Yeah, outside of oil change, lubes, tire rotations, are we talking transmission flushes?
I don't know. I know I can go buy new tractors from Penske and go on their preventive maintenance program, and they'll guarantee me 95% uptime. Because they're going to let me know at this many miles that I'm coming in and getting this changed, and it's not broke, but it's going to eventually. So they're expensive programs. Preventive maintenance has an expense to it because you don't know how much you're saving by fixing it now.
Right.
You know what I mean? It may last for another year, or it may go out in 3 days and hurt 3 more things.
Right.
I don't know if the concept of giving you agreed upon guidelines for maintenance that you manage, so when you have to come back for this conversation, you say, there you go.
All right, and I can certainly, I can certainly provide all the maintenance records for all of these vehicles now. I think the problem is, like everything else, I potentially have a new set of bosses every year, so an agreed upon maintenance program today isn't going to mean anything next April if we have.
That's been proven tonight, that's, you bet.
So I think it's time, I hate to cut this short, but I don't want to push you guys later on our other meeting, but if you would like to have another work session, again, I can bring documents and everything that we need, or...
We're going to have, before the next meeting, a work session on the personnel manual.
Okay.
So we can continue this conversation.
Yeah. And at some point in time, if I could ask that it just go to a vote, the people that want to vote for it, the people that don't vote for it, and at least let us know one way or another what's going to happen. Yes. Thank you for your time.
I just don't think you need that truck.
I would take that truck. If you buy that truck, I'd be happy to use it.
Put the red light right on top of it.
You want to take a short 1 minute break, 2 minute break?
Yeah, just real quick.
Came in late, I'm sitting in a hole.
last time you complained that they were used to go.
Got them talking about something.
No, we don't have bottled water in the refrigerator. Okay. The cooler's full.
Those skid marks are still on the intersection up there.
Yeah.
They hit that pole hard.
They did.
Good evening. Approval of the agenda.
Move approval. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
We're gonna do a roll call.
Got me mixed up there.
Trying to break the record. Let's do that. Must be yours, I didn't work on mine.
Okay, Mayor Drivensor.
Here.
Alderwoman Codwell.
Here.
Alderman Couch.
Here.
Alderman John Stuckey.
Here.
Alderman Jokers.
Here.
Alderman Hook.
I'm here.
Alderman Donnie Stuckey.
Here.
Alderman Prince.
Here.
Alderman Rozika.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Yes, Martin, we're going to city administrator.
Okay, the first item is, I gave you a description of something without telling you what it was. It's the Main Street Trail. And we have everything probably kind of sitting there ready to go. There's an item on the regular agenda tonight, which is the second amendment of our agreement with the state, and they want on the timetable, and they want us to have that executed before they commit the money. When they commit it, we're ready to proceed. Now, what we discovered is that all of the temporary construction easements are in place, but there seems to be some dispute over whether the Main Street right-of-way is 55 feet or 60 feet. So we're kind of working through that discussion right now with the county and with the surveyor. It may end up that we need to get a couple of permanent easements if it's 55 feet instead of 60. But that's being evaluated right now. And the county and the city property that we're deeding to the school, those easements will be reserved, so that question won't come up. And AT&T and Citizens need notice on the removal on the utilities. So I'm going to go ahead and give them the notice to start the process of the utility relocation, so that doesn't hold up construction. They won't actually do it until we're ready to build, but they can put it in the plan.
How many years have you been trying to get this thing off the ground, Dick?
2007.
Wow, that's a long time trying to get the project going. And
We're slow to start them.
Delays. Yeah.
Well, I think the safe streets or whatever, safe.
Sidewalks?
Yeah, that was like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, it took a while too.
Takes a long time to get these big projects going.
Well, it was different entities involved, they kept, the rain stuff, that happened.
At the last meeting, we had a discussion about the, and Tom presented information on the park board, and you had committed some funds. I went to the next park board meeting to ask them to put together some ideas. They didn't have a quorum, but they met Tuesday night and delivered to us what was distributed at your table as some of the things they'd like to consider, but they're putting together some cost estimates, so we really don't know of the $5,000 that you were willing to dedicate to park capital, which of those can come in within that dollar figure, but we'll find out, and there'll be a formal
I was unable to attend that
proposal.
meeting this past Tuesday.
Item number 4, work with the firefighter to get some free music and entertainment. I would encourage them to look at grants from the band. I mean, we have money dedicated for that. There are grants available. I'd hate for them to use any capital they got to spend on something where they could probably get a grant.
Frankly, I understood your offer was for capital improvements, and not for kind of operating expenses.
Right. Yeah, this is going to be a process. They've never had the opportunity to look at spending some money, so it's going to be a process for them.
Tom, I'm not sure you can't go to the Missouri Arts Council and ask them for some money too on this. They're very good about that.
It's like everything, Rick, projects got to have owners, and we have volunteers on the park board that have busy lives, and it's just tough to, for them to commit to that kind of time.
Okay, so I have reported in the past, and you've authorized me to work with Joy Howard of WMI Financial, and we did that. We issued, after getting all the paperwork completed, a request for offers for certificates of participation on a private placement of the $1,230,000. for the water line projects. We weren't sure we were going to get any offers because we were asking to do basically a lease purchase agreement on a project that they usually don't go beyond 10 years. As luck would have it, we got 4 offers, and this spreadsheet that's attached to my gives you the 4. The best was from Branch Banking and Trust. These are banks that don't have offices, they don't have branches, and it's an attractive rate. They're going to hold it for 45 days. We may be able to get in within the 45 days. They were unable to commit to 60 days, but what they offered us was a buy-down option. So that if we go to bid, the real question here is how much the easements will cost, because you don't know until you ask the property owner to give them to you. And so, anytime 3 years after we commit, we can buy down the principal and save the interest. So if we get bids at $900,000 and the easements cost $100,000, they won't. We'd be at a total of $1 million, and we'll have $230,000 we could either use for other public works projects, have to be water or sewer, or buy down the loan by that $230,000. So you'll be kept apprised of where we stand with those. This is basically being presented to you tonight for you to tell me whether you can think of any reason not to proceed with Branch Banking and Trust. There's no action required tonight. But with your consent, I'll go ahead and take it to the next step and get the documents prepared and get them back before you. Okay? We had a couple of informal meetings. I mean, one of the things that always comes up is that here we are sitting on the river, and folks who visit our community know it and want to see the river, and the really only option is to go down to the landing.
Pretty crummy.
And so, along with that, there's all the land on the river side of the levee that has grown up now and is populated with wildlife. And so we had a meeting with a guy from Fish and Wildlife Service. When I say we, it's just this informal committee of Bob Mueller from the Tourism Advisory Council. John Carroll's agreed to be on it. Vern Bowman. I'm pointing her because she's going to Beth attended. I attended.
I didn't attend.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I
okay.
couldn't.
Did you go to the second?
No.
Who met with you? They met at your place. I got you in that because they met at the station.
Place,
so there you go. You want to attend? No, you got nothing. So anyway, they're looking at ways that we can capitalize on this resource, and one of the ideas was to maybe get a bird sanctuary by the National Fish and Wildlife Service. That may not be the best option. So they're looking at all options, but it's a resource that I'm not particularly sensitive to because I'm not a birder. But apparently, there's a whole world of people out there who will come to St. Genevieve. We just give them the resources they need to get down there and enjoy communing with nature. So we're working on it. We'll keep you apprised. I've been talking to PIVA about the use of the 30,000 square feet. We've had a couple of iterations, conversations back and forth. We have ended up with the lease agreement calls for them to use that 30,000 square feet between now and the time that it would kick in under their agreement with us. We'll talk about the details of that when we get to it on the regular agenda. As Steve is here, we ordered the grinder pump for the Williams project that they came and talked to us about. Have they worked on it yet?
No, yeah.
Okay.
I tried to contact Shoes today with little results.
We got 3 bids, and Shoes was by far the best bid on installing that. And I've advertised for offers on the Merchant Street property, and the date for that is May the 18th, Several people have expressed interest. I didn't set a particular dollar figure, so like there's no, they didn't want to kind of come up with a dollar figure and then everybody would be $1 over that. So it's pretty open-ended, and we'll get offers and we'll see if you want to accept them or keep trying.
Oh, good. Thank you, Martin.
Questions, anybody? All right, great. Any committee reports? Yes.
I'm fortunate tonight, the St. John TV board, many of them are here tonight. Our chairman's here, Gary Whitener, Ed Millinger's here, and Sue Gagg. I'm going to defer my report to Gary, if it's all right with you, Mayor.
All right.
They got some pretty exciting things going on downstairs recently.
All right.
Gary, you want to come forward?
What I'd like to do is to hand out. I always like visual explanations. What you're looking at is a picture of our new studio. Okay. We've really been working hard trying to get this studio up to date, current, and produce a good and viable program for our viewers. St. Genevieve. If you look at the picture at the top, our new studio picture shows what we've done. Now this is with the help and aid of our board members. We're all volunteers. We don't get a dime for any of this. And we spent that for the last week and a half trying to get this revised, along with a company called Modern Communications. And yesterday was the last day that they were here to get everything set in motion. We still have situations where you may not get the voice, you may get this on 990 or 991, and we're working all the bugs out, and we're also learning, because we've got a lot of new equipment in there. Okay, I know you've asked quite a bit about, how much is that going to cost us? So we've discussed it, and all the money that's coming out for this is out of our own savings. This savings is generated by donations and contributions over the last 17 years. We've been able to scrimp and save and everything, and I attribute a lot of that to Sue Gagg. She's our treasurer. She's really tight on that. We can't spend anything, buy anything over $100. If we do, it has to be approved by the board. That's how tight we run our shop. We are a team. Everybody works together. What we've done here, we've set some goals. Our improvements, we do produce quality images. I've already had some calls from people, especially at the nursing home. They like the visual quality of this. It's really sharp and bright, and the sound's really good. And these people have called us about it. We've increased our video storage capacity. In other words, we tape and store everything that we video, okay? With this new equipment, we've been able to combine it and put in a larger storage system, okay? I know the other day Pam said something, she needed some information about one of the board meetings back in 2012, I believe, and we had that. So we are, we're there on top of it. Yes, we have up-to-date equipment to show you what all we've gotten. You'd have to come down and take a look at it. I'd be spending an hour trying to explain what all we have, and I know we don't have that time. We have options. We're establishing apps for viewers to watch on iPads, iPhones, tablets, and so forth. And what that is we've, in a way, had an option to do that, but not with the equipment that we've got now. We've really got some good up-to-date equipment. that we can't go to that. The last thing is we have the ability to stream, which you guys like, city council meetings live. In fact, we're doing it today. We got it set up through our TriCaster system. So that means when you're streaming, you know it's going everywhere. It's not just on channel 991 or 990. And of course we have our internet system, stjohntv.com, and it's always there. It's sort of like a record file. If you don't see it live, or you don't see it on 991 or 990, practically all of our videos go on to our website, and it's stored. Okay, and you can go on the internet and pull it up whenever you want. So that's where we're at. Most of the public is not going to understand what all we did here. You know, it's like taking we went from a bicycle to a car now. We've improved that much. And we've got to learn it too. We're all going to have classes and learn how to operate the system and learn new ways of promoting the television station. Now, do you all have any questions at all?
What do you got, 1 or 2 TriCasters?
We have 2. We bought, our first one we bought over, 2 years ago, I believe it was. 2 years ago. And we set up a TriCaster room. And we use that section to do individual videos, personnel, interviews, and so forth, and put it on the screen. Okay. It's a setup just like you see on Channel 5, Channel 4, all around. We have a green screen set up. So we can put all these different virtual sets behind it and use that. We also have 8 stalls for youth and adults who would like to come in and do videos themselves. We come in and we can show them how to do it and actually make videos. We've got that option to do, and it's no cost to those people. Let's see. The other TriCaster, we bought that as it was a second thought, because we thought we was going to use that TriCaster out when you go to the county fair. We have a system there that you can hook it up and you can take pictures of it, videos and everything, and feed it into the TriCaster, which is fed into our studio here and sent out. But we thought the best thing to do right now is to take that and use it for our actual studio control system. And that's what we're doing now. It's really kind of amazing how we can do that. But those are the pictures. It kind of it explains a little bit of what we're trying to do. We've come a long way, and we got a long way to go yet. We have 10,000 wires down there that we have no idea where they go. And we keep pulling them out, huh?
I was going to comment on the fact that you now know where they all go, but I guess you don't.
Oh no, we're still finding them. They're still out there, up there on the ceiling and everything else.
Well, we who work in City Hall will feel a lot safer when we figure it out.
Yeah. Well, we found that they're all dead. We don't know where they go. They're just there, hanging on the ceiling. So we're checking each one and saying, nope, we don't need this. Pull it out.
All right. Great. It looks great.
So down the road, you can take a TriCaster live down the road.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we can take it out there. That's what they use nowadays. Most of your TV stations use a TriCaster, especially like you see on national NBA, NFL. Instead of all these big trucks, a lot of them have big trucks, but they use the systems. Yes.
Gary, have you guys put together an informational program that you can run on the station on all this information?
Yes, and that's what we haven't put it together yet, but we've got it in the process. That's our next
forum that you control to let everybody know.
Yeah. Oh yes, and that's what we will be doing. What we got to do first is, set up an agenda, how we're going to tell the public what we're going to do. We can set up our own videos and classes and everything else. And that's our next step, after we get the equipment working like it's supposed to be doing and knowing how to operate it. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, man.
Good update.
Okay, we also have somebody here from Cochrane, John from Cochrane. He's here to give us an update on what's going on with the water line.
John Cochran.
Good evening. Just brought down 10 sets of plans and project manuals, and they're sitting in the back room for the contractors to pick up tomorrow, starting tomorrow. 2 sets are extra for the city's use, review whatever they want to do with them. Bid packages, again, are going to be starting tomorrow at noon, available here at City Hall. May 27th will be a pre-bid meeting at City Hall here at 2 p.m. On June 3rd at 2 p.m. we'll have the bid opening here at City Hall. By June 9th, Cochrane will have a bid tabulation and recommendation prepared and sent down to the city for their board packet for their consideration on the June 11th meeting. So
that would be, so that would mean somebody can start in July then, right?
yes. They want to, within 5 days, the city issues the notice of award after their meeting, hopefully the next day. Within 5 days of that notice of award, the contractor executes his required documents. And then within 7 days of the notice to proceed date, the contractor starts work. And we've got in here that projects 2 and 3 need to be completed by August 10th, there by the school, with the traffic and everything involved. So it's going to be a pretty fast-track project.
Martin, do you recall when we started looking at this project and how long it's taken to get to July of 2015?
Well, 2 years ago, we were discussing whether to replace a water line on St. Mary's coming up Seraphin. It was at that time we discussed whether we wanted to just do this individual project or identify the highest priority projects in the city.
We had to make some
and get those
decisions
done.
and modifications,
Yeah.
and it lengthened the time to start on the project.
So
yeah. Thank you.
Point A. Okay. Anything else for John?
I'm going to do it again in a few minutes. I'm going to do it again every time.
Anything else for John?
Thank you, sir.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else, anybody? Great, we'll go to the minutes of the regular meeting of April the 23rd.
Pam, one correction.
One thing, on the roll, it's listed as Alderman Teddy Ross, and I was sitting in that chair at that point.
Sorry.
Just a minor technicality.
Somebody got better looking and who knows who, right?
Had the same correction.
Other than that, I'm fine with it.
Move approval with that.
Second?
Second. Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Resolution 2015-32, a resolution appointing Carla Bullock to the St. Genevieve Housing Authority Board.
I make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
When do they have those meetings?
Last Tuesday of the month.
Whether during the day or what?
One's 4 o'clock, I think the next one's at 2:30.
I was just curious. I was on that board for a while also. I thought they were day meetings.
I think we're still missing a resident.
Yeah.
A resident member. They are going through some changes up there.
Are they keeping up with everything pretty much? Do we know?
Well, it's, there was a it was kind of being part-time managed, but now that's going back to more full-time management, which should, we hope, eliminate some of the issues that they have up there.
Some of it was ground maintenance, right?
Yeah, I think most of it really had to do with the fact that the agreement was entered into, which really didn't keep somebody there enough. I believe that once somebody's there most of the time, that a lot of those issues will definitely go away.
Yeah, because
most of it's maintenance issues.
Yeah, well, there's no question that Tina accomplished things.
Okay, we've got really no old business. We'll go right into new business. Bill number 4030, first reading.
An ordinance approving the Second Amendment of the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Transportation Enhancement Funds Supplemental Agreement dated June 29, 2007.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We would mind getting this.
I'll make a motion to have the second reading of bill number 4030.
Second.
All in favor of second reading of 4030?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, second reading, bill number 4030.
An ordinance approving the Second Amendment of the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Transportation Enhancement Funds Supplemental Agreement dated June 29, 2007.
And motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Codwell.
Yes.
Alderman Couch.
Yes.
Alderman John Stupi.
Yes.
Alderman Jokers.
Yes.
Alderman Hook.
Yes.
Alderman Donnie Stupi.
Yes.
Alderman Prince.
Yes.
Alderman Rozika.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no's. Bill number 4030 now becomes ordinance 3966.
Thank you. Bill number 4031, first reading.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a proposal for professional engineering services with Cochran Engineering for storm water evaluation on South 10th Street where it intersects with the railroad crossing.
Now, you recall when we were talking about their design of the water system, we talked about the stormwater drainage problem there in front of Lucent, and we asked them to take a look at what it would cost and what it would take to mitigate that problem, and they did. And this is what they are telling you now the engineering cost would be for designing the modifications that would mitigate the kind of ponding problems we have there. This is something you might want to think about, following Frank's suggestion. If you want to, we can postpone it to a date certain, because you really haven't had a chance to look at it. But it's a $10,000 engineering project, and I can't tell you what the construction project would be until they design it. So,
You want to make a motion to table this for tonight, or what do we have to do?
well,
Postpone.
Postpone? Yeah. To a date certain. I mean, it can die for lack of a second,
Yeah.
or it can be postponed, the discussion can be postponed
it can be, yeah,
to a date
To
certain.
date.
or not to a date certain and then die because he didn't do it.
If you want to give it a couple months or something, or a month, I don't know.
Will we know more at that point, though, as
No.
far as cost?
No, all you're going to know is we won't know the cost until we have the design
An
done.
engineering study.
But, engineering is generally 10% of a project, in that
Right.
order of magnitude. So
I'm
you're
not-
looking at a 90, I think we're looking at designing a project we're not going to have the funds to implement right away. But it doesn't hurt to have the design.
Well, I'm not personally familiar enough with the issue to understand any urgency or lack of urgency. So maybe a little bit more information on.
It's just too much water coming down through there and not enough of a drain.
The drain used to go, as I understand it, straight across what is now Lucent's parking lot. And then they diverted it into a drainage ditch that is parallel to their property line and then into the ditch that runs in front of the property down towards the railroad tracks. And then it has to make another 90 to get into the receiving ditch. And, water doesn't like corners. So you end up with water flooding over the road, and while it hadn't gotten anybody's basement yet, it's pretty close.
Who did that? I mean, who changed it?
That was done before my time, I think.
It won't go away.
No, you don't have to act on this tonight, but maybe take a look at it, see what you think about it. Maybe I'll meet with, call Chris and say, can you give me a little better handle on what do you think the cost might be, just that kind of thing.
So
But I don't know, it's not going to be...
How did you end up, Rick, postponed to when?
I never came up with a date.
We give it a month?
Postpone it till July.
Yeah.
Let's do July 23rd.
2 months?
Is that okay? Everybody? You want to put that in motion, Rick?
Yes.
Okay. Second. All in favor of postponing that till July the 23rd? Aye. Opposed? Great. Bill number 4032, first reading.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a proposal for professional engineering services with Cochran Engineering for construction, stakeout, for water main improvements, and exhibit preparation.
And this project location,
This is all the water lines,
the whole thing.
everything.
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. We're bill number 4033, first reading.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Sargent Construction Company for roof repair at number 5 Troutman Court with Sargent in an amount not to exceed $17,600.
We knew that there were some roof leaks on the building when we acquired it. We had the company that was working in the area, or that had worked on it before, come out and look at it. They kind of fiddled with it. We had a second company come out and look at it and give us estimates on it. And we had a third company come out and take a look at it, who gave us options. This amount takes care of the leaks we knew about in the front and the back. Plus, there are these fasteners on the back that will need replacing, if not right now, it's in the foreseeable future. So this proposal covers the replacement of those fasteners before they fail, rather than waiting for them to fail down the road.
Why is it St. Genevieve Water Department asking for this?
Probably because I made a mistake.
Okay, that's the only thing I was wondering about with it.
That's my typo.
Okay.
We're trying to take it out of Steve's budget without telling him.
That'll be TIF funds used for this $17,600.
And if you remember the inspection, the independent inspection, they brought up those fasteners, and Martin and I thought, well, while they were up there doing these ends of the roofs, let's go ahead and get that done.
I think we kind of have to do this, but we're going to get to a pretty sweetheart deal in bill number 4039. That's kind of related to this particular project. I move to approve.
Second. With the change.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Do we need a second on that?
It can wait.
Okay.
Bill number 4034, first reading.
An ordinance approving a budget amendment to the City of St. Genevieve fiscal year 2015 budget relating to the Valley Springs TIF Fund budget number 40.
This is to pay for what we just approved.
This is connected to that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Bill number 4035, first reading.
An ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve, Missouri authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Riverview at the Park Incorporated for reimbursement of eligible expenses associated with the Valley Springs TIF area.
We need to fill in a dollar amount, is that correct?
Yeah.
I'm missing this too.
35?
637.38.
Oh, here it is. Still got the 337.
Front page.
The front page has got the 337.
The front page references the agreement
Okay.
that was for $337,500.
Okay, so,
That's why I didn't know what you said.
so where are we?
Well, you can see that the exhibit, qualified expenses has come up to $729,253, so.
So now it's time to negotiate on something to vote on.
Right.
Basically. And I think my opinions will express that I feel like the initial amount in the previous agreement should be carried over, but you guys might want to take a different approach.
I agree with Tom.
I personally think, at the very least, the $44,000 a year for the 2-year delay, which would be $88,000, should be taken off, because that's money that would have been realized back into the TIF. And
I think you could treat Alderman Couch's motion and a second as being the end of what you're going to vote on.
I will make a motion for the $337,500 as noted in the original agreement.
How much is it, Tom? 300 what?
337,500.
Okay.
And Betsy second.
Yes, but I have a question. If this one would be a no, can we revise that and vote again?
Have as many motions and votes as appeal, I guess.
Or is it going to be presented again?
I don't want to do this and have you know, and then
I
that's it.
rescind my motion until we clear this up.
Yeah,
I don't know if we're ever going to clear it
Yeah,
up.
I don't think
Unless
we
we vote.
continually vote on it and ratchet it down 50 cents every time.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to bring it up at the next meeting with a new bill.
And I'm going to stick with my motion for $337,500 and put it on the table and hope that my fellow aldermen will come to an agreement.
Second?
Yeah, I'll stay with my second.
Any, I guess we're still going to have discussion, right?
That's, you got to do the first reading with the number in there.
Oh, okay, do the first reading without that.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No. We can take a roll call.
Yeah, we probably need to.
Okay. Alderman Rozika?
No.
Alderman Prince?
no,
Alderman Donnie Stupi?
No.
Alderman Hook?
Yes.
Alderman Jokers?
Yes.
Alderman John Stupi?
No, I think we got greater needs in the city.
Alderman Couch?
Yes?
Alderwoman Codwell?
Yes.
How about that?
Didn't see that coming, did you?
How about that?
It's a break time, the first reading.
Okay, first reading. I vote yes. Okay, bill number 4036, first reading.
An ordinance approving a budget amendment to the City of St. Genevieve fiscal year 2015 budget relating to the park fund budget number 20.
Move approval.
Second.
Is this what we had this information at
It's
the
the
last
tractor.
meeting? Is that
This is
correct?
the tractor. The mower.
Mower. That's second, right?
Yes, you did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Do we need a second reading so we can start mowing?
You got it. What are you using it?
Okay.
Got a second, I mean, go ahead.
Okay, move for a second reading.
Second. Second.
Who seconded that? I'm sorry.
Randy.
Thank you.
I second. Second.
And third.
Roll call?
That was for the second.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor of the second reading?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, second reading, bill number 4036.
An ordinance approving a budget amendment to the City of St. Genevieve fiscal year 2015 budget relating to the Park Fund budget number 20.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Codwell.
Yes.
Alderman Couch.
Yes.
Alderman John Stupi.
Yes.
Alderman Jokers.
Bless you.
Alderman Hook.
Yes.
Alderman Donnie Stupi.
Yes.
Alderman Prince.
Yes.
Alderman Rozika.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no's. Bill number 4036 now becomes ordinance 3967.
Just as a clarification to anybody that might be watching this, this is just a amendment to the budget. The board already approved the purchase of the tractor, so it's not like we're using the tractor without it being approved to be bought. It's just an amendment to to straighten out the budget. Okay, bill number 4037, first reading.
An ordinance approving the purchase of a 2005 Ford 250 Super Duty 4-wheel drive 3/4 ton truck from Stupi Auto Sales Incorporated, St. Genevieve, Missouri, in an amount not to exceed $10,000.
Discussion.
Yes, please.
So how much is the truck gonna cost? $10,000, or is it less than that?
Steve?
We put the truck out for bid, and we received one bid back, which was this one, and it is for the amount of $10,000.
So only one bid, was nobody else?
Steve, was this in the budget?
Yes, it was. It was a budgeted item.
And in fairness,
It's actually the
We
second
talked
time
about
I
this
ran.
the last meeting.
Yeah.
So I was okay with it.
we've been looking for a truck to fill this need for quite a while, so it's not, the great effort didn't go into trying to find competitive bids. We never could get one that met our specs.
Motion to approve.
What was in the budget amount, Steve?
$15,000.
Okay.
There you go.
Yep, there you go.
There you go.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm
Opposed?
abstaining on everything.
You need that right away? Or you got it already?
Second reading was
Let's move for a second reading.
I'll second.
All in favor, second reading?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm abstaining.
Okay. Second reading, bill number 4037.
An ordinance approving the purchase of a 2005 Ford F-250 Super Duty 4-wheel drive 3/4 ton truck from Stupi Auto Sales Incorporated, St. Genevieve, Missouri, in an amount not to exceed $10,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Rozika.
Yes.
Alderman Prince.
Yes.
Alderman Donnie Stupi.
Yes.
Alderman Hook.
Yes.
Alderman Jokers.
Yes.
Alderman John Stupi.
Abstaining.
Alderman Tom Couch.
Yes.
Alderwoman Codwell.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no's, 1 abstaining. Bill number 4037 now becomes ordinance 3968.
Okay, thank you. Bill number 4038, first reading.
An ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve, Missouri adopting sanitary sewer collection system specifications.
As the
Excuse me.
ordinance indicates, this is a task that was called for in the order of compliance, the consent decree with EPA. We're at the point where just about everything has been completed so that we can ask for the consent decree to be lifted. So this is one of the items that hadn't been done. I don't expect any of you to have read all of this or care, but take heart that I have read every word, Steve has read every word, and between us, it's where we think it ought to be.
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Bill number 4039, first reading.
An ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve, Missouri authorizing the mayor to enter into the First Amendment to the commercial building lease agreement with Piva Group North America, LLC, and the City of St. Genevieve.
Motion to approve.
Discussion.
Well, second before you have discussion.
Okay, get your second, and then we'll have some more discussion.
Second.
Discussion.
Okay. We received an offer on the 30,000, use of the 30,000 square foot addition to the building at 5 and Trotman that you were not inclined to accept. You asked me to approach PIVA, and because our lease with them gives them first right of refusal on the use of that space. So I approached them, I informed them of the offer, and they said they wanted to come up with a proposal for the use of the space. This is their proposal.
What is their proposal?
Well, it's attached to your...
$625 a month for 30,000 square feet. That's the way I read it.
Well, not forever.
That's if it's, when it's not being used, and then once it's...
That's just to secure it. It's an option fee, basically.
Yeah.
Then...
Once they start using it, it doubles.
Then it moves to $1,250, and then it goes to $2,500, and then there's the term after February of 2017, the terms of our existing lease kick in, where they pay the same for it as they pay for the 90,000 square feet in front.
That, my friends, and I'm in favor of it, is a sweetheart of the deal. So, I mean, wow, that is showing that we want PIVA to be successful. Mr. Oakes, came before the board, and that is a sweetheart of a deal. I'm going for it, but that's a sweetheart of a deal.
Just a comment, the phrase "sweetheart of deal."
Can I not say that?
No, I don't think
okay.
you can. It's a market rate.
Really?
Yes.
We have determined that is a market rate?
I think you should.
How many tenths of a cent is that per square foot?
What happens is if you lease property at less than fair market value, the tenant may be taxed by the county assessor for the sweetheartness. So and under our lease, we are obligated to pay that tax on behalf of the tenant. Now, the main lease, all the city did was match the negotiated terms of the main lease. So we don't believe that there was any sweetheart deal.
Well, my comment was geared that the city is getting a sweetheart of a deal to get $625 a month.
Thank you for clarifying that.
I have a question. So it says known as option space. So basically, if I understood you correctly, they would not be using that space for anything.
Only for storage until they...
So they can use it for...
Yeah, for storage.
Okay.
And if
But there
they
will be
use it
no-
for production, then, they would ratchet up.
I think they're going to stage some of their equipment as they're installing it too.
Probably. It won't be part of their manufacturing operation.
I misunderstood you, so I wanted to clarify.
Well, I don't know. You misunderstood me, the burden's on me to communicate.
I think they're going to use it like for inventory storage.
What's that?
I think they're going to use it for like inventory storage.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Discussion?
Do we vote on this? Well, you can. Well. You haven't yet.
Yeah. All in favor?
The motion's out there.
Their motion is second. All in favor of 4039? Aye. Opposed? Okay. That's it. Okay.
40-40.
I'm sorry. Bill number 4040, first reading.
I want a second reading to start it.
If you want to start it.
Good
Oh,
point.
okay. Just point, if we don't do the second reading, we won't be able to start the lease.
Motion for second reading.
Second.
Second reading of, everybody in favor of bill number 4039, second reading?
Yes.
Opposed? Okay, second reading, bill number 4039.
An ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into the First Amendment to the commercial building lease agreement with PIVA Group North America, LLC, and the City of St. Genevieve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Hook.
Yes.
Alderman Donnie Stupi.
Yes.
Alderman Jokers?
Yes.
Alderman Prince?
Yes.
Alderman Rozika?
Yes.
Alderwoman Codwell?
Yes.
Alderman Couch?
Yes.
Alderman John Stupi?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no's. Bill number 4039 now becomes ordinance 3969.
Okay. Thank you. Bill number 4040, first reading.
An ordinance approving a budget amendment to the City of St. Genevieve fiscal year 2015 budget relating to the band fund number 25.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. What help us understand what it's for, that's all.
Basically, they want $4,250 more to be available to go to the grant program.
Awesome.
And it comes out of their
And it's coming out of...
surplus.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
There you go.
All in favor of first reading?
Aye.
Opposed?
Can I move for a second reading, seeing as they are giving these grants over this period of time as we
Second.
speak? Yesterday.
Okay. All in favor of second reading of 4040?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Second reading, bill number 4040.
An ordinance approving a budget amendment to the City of St. Genevieve fiscal year 2015 budget relating to the band fund number 25.
Second.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Codwell?
Yes.
Alderman Couch?
Yes.
Alderman John Stupi?
Yes.
Alderman Jokers?
Yes.
Alderman Hook?
Yes.
Alderman Donnie Stupi? Alderman Prince?
Yes.
Alderman Rozika?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no's. Bill number 4040 now becomes ordinance 3970.
Thank you. Public comments, anyone? Anybody like to address the board?
I'm not certain if the work session covered this, but can I ask that Alderman Couch remove that item from the table so I can represent it for a later ordinance?
Is that how it works, Frank? Since we kind of tabled it incorrectly.
You probably ought to decide amongst yourselves when you're going to call that back up to vote on.
When you want to, what kind of time frame you want to have available to talk about it and go to the work session or whatever?
We're going to talk about it at the work session at our meeting in 2 weeks. So,
If that's the main topic of that work session, I
no,
think we
the
can...
main topic is going to be the personnel meeting.
I think it's squeezing a lot into one. I hate work sessions when they're not effective. But there's some pretty significant topics. Do you think we'll have enough room in 1 hour to do that?
We can do it and suspend it until after the meeting, regular meeting.
So what's my call here, Frank?
The date to bring that ordinance back
May 28th is the next meeting.
to a date.
So I have to...
You can, well, like June or July or whatever.
Or May 28th.
Or May 28th.
Okay.
Or you want to do it after that, at the meeting, we have a work session, bring it back at that meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah, that's what,
That needs a second.
I couldn't figure out how to say it.
Second.
yeah, that's it, take it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thanks, Eric. Anybody else? Okay, other business, we have the approval of a temporary liquor license for the American Legion Riders for the Jurda Festival to be held on August 8th and 9th, 2015.
Motion to approve.
Second. 9 and 10. 9 and 10?
Is it?
8th and 9th, you can hear.
Well, he has 9 and 10 on the application, but
Oh, I
definitely
think
not.
they had the wrong dates on there.
Okay, 8 and 9. We have a motion and a second, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then we have approval of the following yearly liquor license renewals, and I don't know if I need to read all of them, but
No.
there's 22 of them on there.
Just go.
I have one question.
Go ahead. No, talk, go.
El San Felipe, have they met the requirements that they didn't meet the
Yeah.
last time?
It was the state requirements, and they have met those.
Okay. My own question.
I'll make a motion that we approve all these at one time.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor to approve the 22 liquor licenses?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I believe that's it.
We got to demolish your garage.
Okay, that's it, okay. Approval of the demolition of permit for a garage at 876 Biltmore Street.
Move approval. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No closed session. Personally, I'd like to thank the board for handling what I thought was and still think was a complex agenda expeditiously and professionally.
Thank you.